Hello and welcome to day 3 of Comic-Con. My name is Tim Surratt and I'm here for the TV.com podcast, Totally Tubular, live from San Diego. It is Saturday night, late night, and I'm here with my buddy, Jen Trolio.
Hello!
And we have breaking news out of Comic-Con. We'd like to introduce everyone to the latest member of our family. Her name is Kaitlin Thomas, and she will be writing for us. Kaitlin, will you please say hello?
Hi.
Okay, very good, very good. But you'll see Caitlin's byline on the site, and she's been helping us out.
You've already seen it, actually.
You have already seen it, so it's not really breaking news, but you don't really know someone until you hear their voice and they're talking at you and telling you their opinions in live, unfiltered. Correct.
Live from San Diego. It's
Live
Saturday
from
night.
San Diego. Yes, it is Saturday night. Kaitlin, how you doing? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself in 5 seconds or less?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I went to the same college as Jen.
There you go. Nepotism at its best.
That was 5 seconds or less, right?
That was very good. Very good.
She's got a point, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But as I said, it's late on Saturday. We're gonna go through this podcast faster than something goes through something very fast. And we're gonna start with the True Blood panel, which was today in the afternoon. Jen attended, and Jen, why don't you give us the highlights?
Why don't I give you the one highlight? Because it was a great panel, you know.
It's an in-season show.
It's an in-season show that is always fun because, we basically saw a trailer for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It looks exciting, you know. It's True Blood. It also looks ridiculous, but it looks exciting. The best part about the panel for me was getting to hear current and also new showrunner Brian Buckner kind of talk about his vision for the show, not only in the rest of the season, but they just got this season 7 renewal last week, I think.
Right.
And so he talked a little bit about what he's got in mind, and it is really it's really good to hear. It's basically he wants to rein the show in a little bit. He wants to pull back and not have as many storylines. He wants to get all of the characters back to bon temps and really start to focus on or return to focusing on the core characters and the small town. And I think that's a smart idea. That's why we loved the show in the first place, right?
That's what they all say.
Oh, well, you're so cynical and
jaded.
One of the fan questions in the panel was are you going to introduce any new creatures? We've seen,
because that's what they need.
Yeah,
and that's what's reining it in is.
No, but that's what inspired the response. It was like.
So he's gonna get rid of fairy wolf buyers.
He didn't say he was gonna get rid of any existing things, but he basically would not commit to saying. When someone asked him, what else are you going to add? He said, actually, I want to pull back a little.
Yeah. Okay. Kill the fairies, that's what I say.
Well, sure. Anybody can, but I feel optimistic.
Good. How did Deborah Ann Woll look?
Just as you would want her to look.
As handsome as Josh Holloway?
No.
Oh.
And not as Michael Ealy either. And Joe Manganiello was there, so he got a lot of cheers. He got some man love from the audience actually, when he his first chance to speak at least. A guy in the audience screamed, "I love you, Joe," and he responded in his Alcide growly "I love you too."
That guy loves his job.
He does. Yeah. It was a good panel. It was basically everybody was there with the exception of, two huge people. But Stephen Moyer was not there and Alexander Skarsgård was not there. So Eric and Bill were not there.
Well, what's the point of the panel then?
Yeah. What did Sookie do?
Sookie was there. What did she do?
If Bill and Eric weren't there?
There was a question to Sookie about, now that your husband is playing God on TV, because, she's married to Stephen Moyer in real life. So there was a little bit about that, but it was just a kind of a one-off throwaway line. She says she's agnostic, so she doesn't know if she's going to... She doesn't recognize his godliness. Yeah, I don't know. It was...
There you go.
It was It was True Blood.
It was True Blood panel. In its later years. That's what happened. Let's stick with vampires.
Okay.
Let's talk about something you saw, Kaitlin. You went to the Vampire Diaries and the originals.
I did.
panels.
Along those same lines, they said when I talked to Ian Somerhalder today that they were trying to rein in all of the stories on Vampire Diaries because if you watch it, you might notice that it got a little convoluted in the past season with the Cure and Silas and everything else.
The race for the cure.
The race for the Cure.
Did you hear that veteran name drop right there by Kaitlin? I like that too. When I
It
talked
was
to
good.
Ian Somerhalder. Nice.
Yes, well,
That is
he
perfect.
did.
You should pimp that, and tell everyone you talked to Ian.
I
Somerhalder.
talked to him today. It was a good time.
Was he wearing sunglasses?
No, he wasn't, and his eyes were very piercing. They were bright blue.
There are a lot of blue-eyed actors here. It's actually starting to seem a little weird.
Yeah.
Contacts.
Well,
The
yeah,
Aryan-
I mean that's the obvious. That's
the
the
Aryan
obvious
race.
assumption, right? But
The
I mean,
Aryan race.
I've said like more than one piercing situation where you're in the press room and you're like, "This is inhuman. This
Yes.
is not real."
So, what did Nina Dobrev say?
I didn't get to talk to Nina.
What?
Yep, she did not do the print tables. So, I did not get to talk to her. I talked to Paul and I talked to Ian and Kat Graham and Carolyn Dries.
Did you get Candace?
Candace, I did not get Candace. She did not make it to our table. But the main focus was that they were trying to pull back and focus more on what it was the first season, where it was very limited and dark. And, Stefan's still at the bottom of the water. I don't know. He's in a box. And Paul Wesley's really excited about it because he gets to play Silas. And he's like, I love to play evil. And he was really happy that he didn't get the girl because now he gets to play the evil guy. And that's basically what all he talked about was how excited he was for this new direction, for this new character that he gets to take on.
Seems like everyone's going in a new direction, pulling back.
Oh, I think they...
People are realizing that finally, that more is not better.
Yeah, kind of. It's
Good.
like we're going to back up and rewind.
Actually that reminds me, well, I'll get to this when we talk about this, but it reminds me of something to bring up when we get to the Once Upon a Time press room.
Whoa, let me get to that.
Yeah, should we talk? Well, you also did the originals today.
I did do the originals. We didn't get a lot of new information because most people have already seen the pilot. They've probably only added another 15 minutes of extra footage since they had to kind of...
This is going to be a 45-minute pilot? What do you mean? You mean they swapped or reshot?
Well, yeah, because the original one was a backdoor pilot, so they bookended it with people from the Vampire Diaries who are clearly not going to be in the spin-off. So they shot a couple of new things. Daniel Gillies said that they shot a lot from Elijah's point of view, and so you'd be walking into a room and then it would be Elijah, and then you would see new footage you'd already seen, but you kind of had a new context for where it came from, and you're going to learn a lot more about Haley and the hybrid vampire pregnancy weird thing that's going on. But for the most part, it's not much anything new, and we haven't really...
So the pilot that we're going to see in September or October,
Yes.
whenever it is, October I believe, is mostly what we already saw
Yes.
with additional things.
It'll
There's
be
probably about
it'll be
15 more
halfway
minutes.
what was already...
That's weak.
That's what a backdoor pilot
But
is.
I guess that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Started as
Really?
a backdoor. Yeah.
Did
But there's
NCIS
more.
LA do that?
I
That's
could
what I
not
want to
tell
know.
you.
Does anyone know? If anyone knows, leave it in the comments. We want to know. No way we're going to go back and watch NCIS LA.
What did the Finder do with Bones?
That's a good question too. Backdoor pilot. Someone tell us. We obviously don't know. Jen,
TV experts right here, guys.
Jen, it's Once Upon a Time. You had something to say.
I did. I went to the press room for that this morning. It was a good press room. We got to speak to most of the cast. But the one thing that, we were talking about pulling back, they definitely, many of the cast members, in particular the creators, Kitsitz and Horowitz, right?
Yes.
I'm making sure I'm saying names correctly. They really spoke about the new season. They talked about theme. They're really going to be working around belief this season. That's their theme. But no, the really interesting. Stop giggling.
Belief is our.
That's what I would make my...
Come on, they've spent 2 seasons on magic. Why can't
My
belief
show
be next?
is about fairy tales.
Well, it is.
Let's make this about belief.
Hey, why don't you be a jerk about it?
I am.
What I thought was really cool, though, is that they very specifically said they're treating it as 2 seasons. They're treating Once Upon a Time season 3 as 2 11-episode seasons.
Didn't they originally have it broken up, and then Once Upon a Time in Wonderland was supposed to go in between them?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was what we had heard and what we had thought was going to happen with Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. Right. Now, Once Upon a Time in Wonderland is going to air as its own thing, but I guess in tandem with that, Once Upon a Time original flavor is going to air, normally, but more on like the Walking Dead schedule. Start slightly later in October, air 11 episodes, take a couple months off, come back in, late January, February, March, whenever their schedules will come back in the mid-season. And I mean, a couple of the cast members said, we're trying to kind of move toward a cable situation as far as the storylines are concerned. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I thought that was interesting. And they seemed to, they were talking about they had support from ABC on that front. And, I don't know, I think it's promising as far as network overall.
Does that mean less or more glitter on, what's his face?
I really, so
Mr. Gold.
Robert Carlyle came around to the, he was part of the tables, and I actually really wanted to ask him about the glitter, and then I kind of wimped out, admittedly. I wimped out on asking him about his experience with glitter in general. I didn't really know how to phrase it.
It's kind of an awkward question.
You can go to a strip club and have less glitter on his face.
I thought about it hard and didn't come up with a good way to bring it to pull that in. But
Oh man. Well, continuing this idea of pulling back on shows, I went to Revolution, the bane of my existence, but also the idea. I talked to Eric Crickby about it, name drop, and he kind of shit all over the first season. And it was really awesome to hear that, because all the complaints I had he had the complaints about himself, and so a couple of times, you should read the story I wrote. I had this really long quote.
And by wrote, you mean transcribed.
I basically transcribed his quote, and he talked about 4 minutes about how he didn't really like the first season and how he understood it. And he was like, I can't believe I did that, and all this and this and this, and how he listens to the fans. But it also gave me a lot of hope for the second season. And he's coming in with Ben Edlund and Rockne S. O'Bannon, who's the creator of Defiance and Farscape. And it sounds like they're really retooling the season. They're not going to be moving around as much. The bombs at the end of the season will drop. Basically, he almost spoiled the first episode, and I think he did this because he wanted fans to come back to it. He's like, we're just leveling everything and starting over. So they're not going to be moving around as much. The militias are all done. There's going to be that threat from Cuba. But they're going to be able to tell stories.
And there's a time jump in Revolution as well, right?
Yeah, just 3 months. But it sounds like he knew what went wrong, and he's going to change it. They're moving to 8 p.m., but that's not going to stop the violence. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested. Anything Ben Edlund's writing for, I'm interested in.
Can you talk? So in your write-up, you spent most of the time in the quote, but you also said it sounds like the power went on in the finale.
Power went on in the finale,
but it's going to
go off.
It's not going to stay off.
Right, and this is the thing.
How much did you get about that?
Well, Eric, my buddy Eric, I call him. He said the power is off forever. It can never ever come back.
The world is just shit out of luck at this point.
Shit out of power. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. So
you should be the editor.
There's no more power in this world. And I mean, that was the whole problem with the first season, is that there was supposedly no power. And then even Eric said, I was watching the show and it's not supposed to have any power, and then all of a sudden there's all this power at the end. He's like, what am I doing? So he recognizes that because of the nanites. Screw the nanites. I think the nanites might be done. I don't know, but it sounds like they're going in a good direction. But we'll see. We'll see. Supernatural had its ups and downs in the first season and the second season, and it got really good in the third season. So maybe Revolution will do the same. Anyways, moving on. How I Met Your Mother panel.
It was actually really great. They got a standing ovation today. First time they've ever been at Comic-Con, which I don't think I realized. But I'm glad I went 2 panels early and sat through things I had no idea anything about for this panel. which is good though, because like if I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten in. But standing ovation. The cast seemed to love being here. They were more obsessed with taking pictures, I think, of the audience members than like the audience members were of taking pictures of them. It was really good, but it was really kind of sincere. They were all very excited to talk about how much they loved working on the show for the past 9 years, and they kind of talked about what they were trying to get out of this last season, where they were just enjoying going to work, and it was really great. I'm still kind of hesitant about the whole season taking place at the wedding. I mean, they talked kind of about that, but I think they might be overdoing it a bit, because they have a lot of things they still need to get in. There's going to be like a slap, because they still got slaps left on the slap bed.
How many slaps do they
How
have
many
left?
are left?
I don't even remember.
2?
There might be 2. I can't
That
remember.
seems, all of a sudden it seems like a lot.
That's a
It
lot
does,
for
because,
a wedding weekend.
Right?
Yeah.
But then they said there was going to be singing, and there was going to be doing a lot of other things, and dancing, and I'm tired just thinking about it.
How I Met Your Mother makes me tired.
I really still like the show, even though it's definitely gone downhill in recent years, but like the fact that it has. And I'm a big Neil Patrick Harris fan, and I will stand up forever for him.
What's your personal ideal for Ted and the mother?
I personally would have rather actually met the mother at the last minute of the season, like the show.
And like had it end.
And had it end, kind of. I mean, I like that they're going to wrap it up, but I do feel like an entire season of the entire wedding is probably going to be very stressful, and it's like a leap. It's a big thing. No one's done that before, but I don't know that it's necessarily going to be pulled off.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I don't know. To play some sort of devil's advocate, and this is as a I don't watch the show. I'm not a diehard of the show, but it sounds to me like there's a lot of, back and forth with How I Met Your Mother. People get really frustrated with it.
Yes.
It spins wheels for a long time. It's long stretches of time, and then it comes in with these like really like
great
huge,
episodes.
awesome episodes. So I don't know. There's still like tons of potential there, even though you're dreading it at the same time.
I think that like they set the bar really high the first couple seasons, and then it's just hasn't been able to hold that, and so then you really want it to still succeed at the end. And I'm really hopeful that it does, but at the same time, I'm not quite sure it'll happen.
Well, you went to the originals panel. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you went to the originals panel. You went to the Shield panel.
No, I didn't go to the originals panel. I went to the press room.
Oh, okay. You went to the Shield panel,
Yesterday,
which
yes.
was which was their first panel because they're a new show, and then you went to the How I Met Your Mother panel.
She went to the
which was
Shield.
I went to Shield press room, not panel. I did not get to see the pilot, but I did get to go to the press room yesterday.
Well, then never mind. My question is moot. I was going to
really
ask you
sorry.
what you thought the difference, because this is Kaitlin's first Comic-Con. She was hired. She started on Monday, and we basically threw her into Comic-Con on Thursday. And Comic-Con is essentially one of the hardest working weekends of a TV person's career. But I was going to ask you what you thought the difference was between a first panel and a final season panel, but who cares? Anyways, first season panel, you show the pilot, and then you talk for 5 minutes. Last season panel, it's a bunch of people crying. That's what I think.
It was a very emotional How I Met Your Mother pilot.
All right, well, let's...
Great, we're never coming to Comic-Con again.
Yeah. Briefly, you also you saw Arrow, Kaitlin.
Yes, I did. I did the press room and the panel today, and I just want to say I don't know what the heck is going on with most people at Comic-Con, because they cleared out of that panel. Like,
I was there for Arrow as well.
It
and
was
like,
ridiculous.
empty. You could have easily walked in.
Yeah, I just don't understand, because it's got so many great reviews of how great this show is, and they ended the season on this huge cliffhanger with Tommy dying, and it's going to affect the entire second season of everything that Oliver's doing, and like nobody's there for that entire panel.
What room was it in?
Ballroom 20.
Why weren't people in there?
Apparently Vampire Diaries fans are not Arrow fans. I don't know, because that's who was in there before.
So Ballroom 20 today was basically it was the pair of Once Upon a Time's first thing. Then it was a lot of Fox animation. It was like Futurama and Family Guy, and I think Simpsons were in there. American Dad maybe too. And then I think it went to originals, Vampire Diaries, and Arrow. I think that was basically the schedule of Ballroom 20 today. So it was definitely like distinct fan groups. But yeah, it was pretty empty in there.
I thought Arrow had fans.
I really thought it did.
You know, but interestingly, Stephen Amell, that was kind of like one of his opening, statements was, he was talking about last year he was able to walk the floor.
Yeah.
And this year he
in the
can't.
costume as well. And he actually described people saying to him last year, I really hope your show is good because I really want to like it.
Yeah.
And everybody had this very like kind of almost fearful, like cautious outlook on it. And then this year he said lots of gratitude. People have been very excited about it. I mean, they didn't necessarily show up to show that.
Maybe Ballroom 20 is pretty big. Maybe they overestimated it.
It seemed like a good panel.
It was a good panel.
The trailer's great. They released a great trailer for season 2.
And the crazy thing about it is there's all this action in it, and it's literally from the first episode of the second season. Like, everything you see, it looks like it's from, 6 episodes worth of stuff, and it's literally just the first episode.
Oh, is it? It's all the premiere?
It's all the premiere. They
All the
just
shows
wrapped
have only
it.
shot one episode.
Yeah, they're just now starting episode 2. I think they've only done, a read-through on the second episode.
Yeah, in that case, this trailer's packed. Like, the first episode is all explosions.
They've got a lot of stuff coming this second season.
But you know what? Disappointing. No abs.
There weren't really any abs. There was a lot of action.
There was no salmon ladder. There
No salmon ladder. No arrows and tennis balls.
No, not really.
It was all
there
fire
was no parkour,
and jumping
there was
over
nothing,
buildings and stuff. He jumped from one rooftop to another.
Oh.
Well,
I mean, that's not parkour.
I did that last night.
Who didn't?
I didn't.
Big deal. Well, all right. Late in the afternoon, I went to Person of Interest. I went to the panel and the press room, and again, I think that was a panel you could have just walked into, and it wasn't in as big of a place. I waited for an hour and a half because there's no way I was going to miss this, and it's one of those shows. It's it's a dad show, but I still think it's really smart. I think it's really fun. They talked about why it isn't a bigger hit among the sci-fi crowd, and it's interesting because it should be, but Jonah Nolan, who is the man behind Batman and is with his brother, he said maybe it's a little too close to home for sci-fi fans, and they were all proven right because basically the whole premise of their show was proven with Prism and the NSA, and there was a lot of talk about that, and that's very interesting because now they're dealing with something that's almost real. The government is watching you. The government is watching you right now. They're recording this podcast and they're waiting for us to say
internet
something.
Search history must be baffled by the things that I look up.
They are disgusted. They are disgusted. But it was a good panel. It was good fans. The fans of the show were really good. Were really great. Like, all of them were like, "This is my favorite show. This is my favorite show." And the panel was cool. I love talking to Jonah Nolan and Greg Plageman, the executive producers. Man, those guys are really smart and really fun to talk to.
More of your best friends.
Yeah, and Jim Caviezel probably said about 2 words. The panel and the press room, but he wore an awesome hat.
He didn't need to say anything because his hat said it all. It said, "I'm wearing a stupid outfit." That's what it said.
If you look at the front page of TV.com now, you'll see.
Now I have to leave that photo on the front page.
It's like a white Kangol, and he's wearing like a blue button-up shirt with a white collar. Man, he's Jim Caviezel. He can wear whatever he wants.
I'm gonna get torn apart for this. I don't like his outfit.
I didn't like it either, for the record. 2-1 here.
Oh, man. He's a man's man. He is a man's man.
Was Bear in the press room?
Bear was not in the press room, but Bear got the biggest
round
round of
outrage.
applause. What the outrage, indeed. What the outrage. It was Michael Anderson. Taraji was not there, too. She was at a charity event. But Sarah Shahi and Amy Acker were there.
How was Sarah Shahi?
Sarah Shahi pierced my soul. She stared right through me.
Is she hotter than Josh Holloway?
No, Josh Holloway's hotter.
Ooh.
I think
You've been talking about Sarah Shahi though for years. I'm actually a little bit surprised.
I really loved her in life. Like, that's when I first got into her, and she was really nice. I may be over her. She's married.
You're married.
She's married. I'm married. Yeah, I'm over everyone except for my wife. And maybe.
Hi, Ingrid.
But Amy Acker was there, and Amy Acker has crazy eyes. She's awesome, though. She's very charming. And the news out of the panel was that she was up to a regular status, so good for her. It's always nice to see an actress you really like get some success, because I think she's been on things that have been canceled pretty quickly.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of the casting news, we didn't talk about that with Arrow, but they made a handful of announcements.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to tell the Black Canary story, right?
Yeah,
that
they're
was
starting.
One of the,
Yep.
That was one of them, and then they did some casting. We've got that. We have the list in front of us here now, just for memory's sake. But Kevin Alejandro, last seen as Lafayette's.
Yep.
No, he was last seen.
Was
Well, he was
last seen in something I didn't see.
Something
but-
else, but not important
Blue,
enough.
But some cop show, yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, last seen by Jen on True Blood as Lafayette's boy toy. Actually, a real partner. He's going to join Arrow as Sebastian Blood, and then Michael Jai White will join as the Bronze Tiger. And then there was a surprise appearance at the panel by John Barrowman, and that was pretty cool.
I will say, Stephen Amell.
Oh yeah, he was in Arrow for a little bit.
Yeah,
Stephen Amell was very cagey in like the interviews. He was like, "Well, he's dead." No,
oh, right.
And
So
I
he
was
he plays Malcolm, and Malcolm died in season 1, but now, right?
Okay. Stephen was kind of like, you didn't see a body, so it's possible.
Soap
then
opera
he shows
rules.
up.
Soap opera rules.
He shows up wearing an Arrow shirt at the panel.
That's just like James Purefoy at the following. Plus, Kevin Williamson asked him to grow a beard. He's totally hiding in the woods.
Yeah,
You heard it here first.
yes,
he lived through that fire.
Yes.
What else we got?
Did you guys see anything interesting around the floor?
I didn't go on the floor today.
Or anywhere around? Any costumes? Anything that you liked?
There were more costumes. I mean, I think we actually might have skipped costumes and celebrities last night, so we might have a double dose of that today. Costumes-wise, I saw, and now I'm going to forget the name of the character, but it's like the superhero from the Nickelodeon cartoon.
Doug. Quail Man.
Quail Man, yeah, the big
That's
Q
it.
one. So with the belt on his head and the underwear over his khaki shorts. So I saw 2 Quail Mans today. Apparently Saturday's the day for Quail Man.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. I saw a Sharknado today.
Yes.
I saw someone dressed as Sharknado. It was great.
What does that costume look like?
That costume is generally it's more of a headdress than anything else. It was not a full body Sharknado. It was like a t-shirt, basically with some wind motion drawn on it, and then I don't know.
He made it in 5 minutes in his basement.
I don't know how to describe it, but the headpiece. Shut up. The headpiece was really impressive. It was just it was like batting, like all swirled in a tornado, and there were like stuffed sharks kind of. I have a photo of it. It'll get posted.
Yeah.
And I saw a Louise from Bob's Burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some good TV costumes today. Yes. I would say, I saw some stuff that was like just beyond your Daenerys Targaryen and her dragons.
I saw a walking Bluth banana stand, which I really liked.
Nice.
And I think I'm not sure what this girl was going with her costume, but I think I saw a Netflix costume.
What do you mean? Like she was dressed up
just like dressed in
Netflix?
red?
She had like a cardboard box around her head that was like a screen, and then on the top of it said Netflix, and then she had a keyboard and like a weird computer that was broken on her chest. And I didn't really get it, but I saw the Netflix thing, and I took a picture.
I saw a pretty good Fry and Leela.
Good. I saw a cross-gender Zap Brannigan, which I was very excited. And I saw a cross-gender Slave Leia and Han Solo. I love
You love it when they switch. When they switch the roles.
Yeah, I will never forget the old Korean guy as Princess Leia with buns.
Yeah,
like that was great.
Well, that was from last year, and I was telling Tim this as we arrived on Wednesday night. Somehow that photo is saved on my hard drive in a place. I don't even know where it is, but every couple weeks it just kind of pops up. So I'm reminded of Korean Princess Leia.
So good.
A couple times a month.
So good. Other than that, out in the patio, in the back patio, there were a bunch of guys in all, like full armor, but not quite like sheet metal armor, but not quite plate mail armor, beating the crap out of each other with like foam weapons. And it was like pickup basketball. So they would have 8 people go in around an arena. There were all these people watching, and then they would just hammer on each other, and they had rules. It didn't make any sense, but they'd hit each other and they would fall down, and it was really the coolest thing I've ever seen. There's a video of it on my Twitter feed if you want to check it out. I kind of want to do it.
Next year. Now you have to come back.
Yeah. They're going to put a costume together.
Spend the next year working on your costume and your fighting skills.
I have to choose my weapon. I don't know what I'm going to use as a weapon.
Thor, big foam hammer.
I think I'm going to do a Morning Star. Flamethrower, that's cheating.
Hey, there was no guideline.
But speaking of, I don't know, more advanced weaponry, and this is on the TV.com Instagram feed. I posted this. I saw this last night. There was a guy, and this wasn't in the convention center. This was just in, the gas lamp, kind of as you're crossing the street and leaving the convention center. But this guy had like a motorized growling zombie that just kind of hung on his front. Like, he wasn't operating it with his hands at all. It just like was constantly like kind of trying to bite his face, and just it was like a really good, really advanced kind of half robot, because it was like a top torso and head, and it had an exposed backbone, and he was kind of like play acting with it. Like he was basically acting like annoyed, and he would like push it away from biting his face. Because at first I thought he had one hand in it as if like a puppet, and it was totally motorized. There's gears and cogs and shit in there. It was advanced stuff, and it was growly and bloody.
But the coolest new costume trend I think we saw was dogs in motorized vehicles.
Oh my god. 2 makes a trend.
We saw a Pomeranian as Batman in a Batmobile, in a remote control car, like one of those cars that
totally remote control. Yeah, so in that the owner can be behind them without.
Yeah, they were just driving up the sidewalk.
Like, it looks like the dog is independently operating the vehicle.
And then about 15 minutes later, we saw a Boston Terrier, I think. Boston Terrier on a Harley.
On a tiny, mini, motorized, battery-operated Harley.
We need more of that.
That one, I think the Harley one was slightly more advanced, I would say, because it's not, like, walled in on the sides the way the Batmobile was. And the dog had his hind legs on the seat and his front paws up on the handlebars. So he was, like, really looked like he was kind of driving the thing. Yeah.
That was very cool.
The more analog version was last night. We also saw an enormous Great Dane, and his owner was dressed as Wilfred, which was cool. So it was good to see them.
Yeah. We have to wrap this up, but really quickly, we are not going to be able to cover the Breaking Bad panel because we walked around Hall H and checked out the line, and it was populated by a bunch of Doctor Who nerds that wrapped around the building. So we can, like, if we went right now and camped out, we would not. I don't even know if we'd get in.
Yeah, it actually was really fascinating to talk to people.
Yeah.
I really got a kick out of talking to people, but I also was very sad to realize we have no chance of getting into Breaking Bad tomorrow.
Doctor Who fans are dedicated people.
Yeah, it was absolutely a majority was there for Doctor Who,
which is understandable. It's the 50th anniversary coming up, and Matt Smith's leaving.
All right, odds on the new Doctor being announced tomorrow morning.
0%.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I got 0%. Why would they announce it in America? That would be an insult to England.
You're an insult to England.
I am. Screw you, Brits. Just kidding.
All right, 0% from Tim.
I got 0%.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, I think it'd be really cool if it happened.
I want it to
but
happen.
The guy I really wanted isn't even in the running. He took himself out of the running, so I don't really know how I feel about it anymore. So I don't think it's gonna happen.
What do you
70%.
70%, all right. Well,
all right, who do you think it's gonna be? Like somebody we've heard of, or some guy we've never heard of before?
I have no idea. I just want to know. I can't even give you a name. Do you think there's any? I mean, it won't be a lady, right?
I honestly don't think so. I mean, I know a lot of people would like that, but I don't see.
I mean, I think that's a cool idea, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I see it happening either, but
not when we just got.
But I still think it's a cool idea. Jenna Louise Coleman's going to be there on the panel tomorrow. So is Matt Smith, I think, right?
I think so.
All the things we're going to miss.
Don't know, because we can't get in, guys.
because we're not already sleeping outside. But we will have, though, so I think we should still have coverage. I think we have writers and at least a couple of them. And then we will be in the community panel
Yeah, let's,
later in the day.
Tomorrow is Supernatural in the morning, then Breaking Bad, then Doctor Who, then Community, then It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, then Sons of Anarchy, and we're going to do some combination of that. Yeah. I'll at least be there for Community. I'm interested to see what Dan Harmon has to say.
Totally.
He's probably going to be a total dick.
Yep.
But that's fine. That's Dan Harmon. We love him for it.
That we do.
All right, and then tomorrow night we all go back to our respective homes.
Yep. And sleep for like a week.
Meeting. And then we
so you guys at work on Monday. Let's not forget.
That's what I meant by sleep for a week.
And then then we have work on Monday. God, this whole thing, all I can think about is doing all this work for Comic-Con and then going home and reviewing Under the Dome.
You have a screener of this week's episode at least, although I'm assuming you haven't watched it yet.
I do. I'll watch it on Monday. Alright. And then I finally get sleep. Alright, I think that wraps it up. Thanks for listening, everybody, and thank you for joining us, Kaitlin.
Oh, no problem.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the family. And you'll see her doing some things on the site. I believe she's going to be doing some things with Community as well, so any complaints, address them to her.
It's totally my fault.
The community pages, you mean, as opposed to Community, the show.
Correct. Correct. Well, we should just give her Community the show, too. All right. Thank you, guys, and get some sleep.
One more of these tomorrow.
One more of these tomorrow if we can pull it off.
We can pull it off.
All right, we'll pull it off from the airport. All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Perfect.